Hi,
Oh,
everybody. It's Nancy Forrester here. I'm the Executive Director of the National EFT Training Institute, neft.com. And I'm here with Carol Richard. Thank you, Carol.
you're
And
welcome.
Carol is the founder of the Sleep Success Academy. And she uses Conscious EFT to really help her clients restore their healthy sleep patterns. So, Carol, I would love to just hear you talk a little bit about what it is about Conscious EFT in particular that you find to be so useful in your work with people.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me when I learned Conscious EFT was really learning about the nervous system and understanding how the nervous system affects us, like in so many ways. We know that, right? And understanding another person's nervous system and my own, and then applying Conscious EFT to my client depending on where they were with their nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started using that approach of Conscious EFT, I found better results with my client because I wasn't trying to do something with them their nervous system wasn't ready for.
Right.
And so really using Conscious EFT and applying the technique based on the nervous system capacity is what helped me the most.
Yeah, that's really kind of the revolution, and one of the revolutionary pieces about Conscious EFT as opposed to sort of a traditional EFT modality. And that really is, you're hitting on it, this idea that we're working with the nervous system, which is in front of us at this point in time.
Right.
And so we're not just applying a technique, we are in relationship with that particular nervous system and listening to what it's asking us, how the kind of support that it wants us to bring in that moment.
Exactly, because there's no one size fits all process to fix someone's sleep. You really have to look at the individual in front of you and what's needed for them.
Yeah.
And that's what Conscious EFT gave me the power to do that I didn't have before. That made me so much better at what I do.
Right, right.
Knowing which approach to use when and teaching them how to use Conscious EFT for themselves, right?
Yeah. And I like how you're talking about the science and the biology, and Conscious EFT is really it's an integration of, really a lifetime of learning for me, and a real integration of neuroscience with biology, and really, with that spirituality piece in it too, which then offers the framework of what transformation really looks like in a human nervous system. And then the actual tapping on the acupressure points being, that's almost like the lubricant that helps the nervous system move through.
Yeah. And I like that, the lubricant, because it's like, that's the thing that I can talk all about sleep and the science and why they should go to bed at a certain time, but without the Conscious EFT approach to help them move to action or inaction if they're doing the wrong act, not the wrong action, but one that doesn't support them, then using Conscious EFT in order to support their system, do what is needed to create the environment for sleep. It's very powerful.
Beautiful. And so we're really here to talk about the first step in learning Conscious EFT, which is our foundational training program called Discover the Power of Conscious EFT. And I've had the privilege of having you there multiple times as being a mentor for the program. So what is it that really sparks pleasure, joy, excitement for you in the Discover program?
It's so much, but thinking about that, like why do I want to keep going to Discover? I love supporting the people that are taking the course. That's number one. But then the way we do that layered learning approach, right? Like they're coming in, they want to learn tapping, they want to learn all this, but we really take them slowly to this layered learning approach. And by the time they get to day 3, they actually have the confidence to do tapping because they're practicing with each other. And this, what feels like a slow layered approach is actually faster at the end because they're understanding why we use which Conscious EFT approach at certain time. that's one of the things that I really love about the Discover program and how we run it over to 3 days.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say is the framework, the ladder of intensity. So when you go and discover people, you'll learn all about the ladder of intensity. And it's like this visual of a nervous system on a ladder, and really how, like, when are you going to use Bronze Plus, which is an intervention to learn if they come to Discover, why, all of those, like holding the truth, and we see where on the ladder they are. And so you understand at this level that I never understood before, why use tapping and when.
Right. And that there are, as in anything, there are some occasions where you wouldn't want to be tapping in certain ways. And the container that I, the trainer, and the emotional mentors work so hard to create, a container of emotional safety, not just talk about it, but there are so many things we do to actually practice what we preach.
Yeah.
The first imperative of the nervous system is safety.
Yeah.
And if safety is not present at a cellular level, that nervous system is not open to learning or healing. And so really breaking it down step by step, how do we, with our clients, actually create this container of safety for both the client and the practitioner? And then how do we use our conscious EFT interventions to support the growth, first from a place of attuning to the suffering that the system is currently experiencing. We're not pretending that isn't true. So attuning to that, what does tapping for the suffering look like? But boy, we don't stop there. That is just a means to an end, which is really about looking for the sparks into pleasure and joy, because that's where the system is going to start expanding and transforming.
Yeah, and I really love the idea of the spark, because once we find the spark, as you're talking about the spark, I really notice as I'm watching the participant of Discover, like when they get an aha and the spark comes, you see it on their face, right? You can tell that they're like soaking it up, because we're doing such a good job. Like you said, we're creating this container that they can at any time message one of the emotional mentors and say, oh, I need a little bit of self-regulation here. We go off, we get their nervous system back on so that they can come in and do the training. And that's been so powerful, because that to me just lets them know and lets me know that we care about you.
Yeah.
And we want you to have the best outcome in this training.
Absolutely.
And we'll do everything we can. So they just have to tell us, and we always adjust to their needs. I love that part of our training.
Yeah, I do too. You know, I've been doing education for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, something like that. And so I just love this opportunity that Discover gives to literally put everything I've learned about adult education into a program where it can be, even though it's training, it is personally and professionally transformative, because of the structures and everything that we, the whole process, the layered learning, the structure, the pre-training that we have people do a lot of the knowledge level beforehand, so then they come into our 3-day retreat and they're there ready, hands-on, and we're there ready to support them and offer them, you know, feedback and suggestions. So, you know, it's a small training. It's not one of these hundreds of people learning. It's a 12 to 20 people at a time, so that it's very, very much a personal experience of support.
Yeah. And that always feels good for me, because you get to see everybody on the one screen.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it on Zoom, right? So you really get to see everybody on one screen, which is really great, because you're not having to flip between two screens, and you've got that like intimate experience. Like you really feel connected during this training. It's been my experience every time I've been there.
Yeah, I love how you're talking about that, Carol, because that really is my intention. when I say that there is no learning unless the nervous system is safe in the moment, well, then that means as a trainer that I have to ensure that there is a level of safety for the nervous system in this training, or else all this beautiful learning is not going to be absorbed by the system. And one of the things that it warms my heart. It's the reason why I continue to do this. When we get to that last day of the training, and we ask the participants, what's your dominant emotion right in this moment? And it just takes my breath away, right? The most common words we hear are about gratitude and appreciation. The other one is awe, A-W-E, awe, right? And that is like takes my breath away every time that a group of human beings can come together, can share at this level, and can end up saying they have an experience of awe.
No. And the last day is always like, that last half hour is so much good energy in that last half hour. And you're right, those are the words. And what really sticks out for me is that it doesn't matter if the person coming in is a mental health professional already, or someone wanting to learn conscious EFT for their own personal needs.
Right.
Because the training's the same. And every time people say, this was life-changing, or we've had some professionals say, oh my God, I can see how I can better support my clients now. The feedback is so valuable too. And I know it gives you joy, and it gives me joy to be part of it, right? Because I'm like, yes, we make a difference in this world.
That's right.
One person at a time, right?
Yeah, it really inspires me. Like I say to my private clients the next day, it's like, look out, I just taught a Discover. So I am like flying high in inspiration and what's possible here.
I know.
And it's been many, many years for me of teaching Discover and watching it evolve. And, I used to teach it in that traditional kind of an EFT way, which had, at some point just began to feel limiting. And so to be able to actually offer this framework of what healing actually requires from both the practitioner and the client, and to be able to integrate energy work, energy psychology, energy healing, which to me, when I discovered it 30 years ago, it really truly was the missing link that, now I would say I don't know how we worked. I don't know how we work without actually incorporating specific ways to work with energy, because all of the blockages and the stuckness are energy blockages and stucknesses.
Yeah.
So we really do need to have a way to work directly with energy, and emotional freedom. And in this conscious way we practice it really gives us that beautiful way to just appropriately free up those blockages and allow that energy to be integrated into the system. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a wonderful program. And another thing I like about it, if I can just add another thing, is how you've created this, kind of looking at the three different things. We're using energy work and tapping. And so when I look at sleep, and I'm going to bring sleep back in because that's my everyday, all day. When we look at the emotions that gets in the way of our relationship with sleep.
Right.
Then we look at our limiting beliefs that get in the way of our relationship to sleep. And then we look at our behaviors that get in the way. And Conscious EFT gives us that framework to go with a client from point A to point B, so no sleep to good sleep, and looking at breaking it down. What's the emotions? What's the limiting beliefs? What's the behaviors that we need to transform? I don't like using the word change anymore. I like to say to transform and elevate, because then we will get results. So it's that really transformational process that you bring in that. So we're learning about tapping, but we're learning the transformation process, what it takes from point A to point B. That's been so useful to me in my personal life, but also in my business, right? And both, I've really appreciated that part of Conscious EFT for me, was adding that framework of understanding those three kind of areas that you can't just work on your mind. and not change your behavior, or you can't just work on your emotions and then not change your limiting beliefs, right? All three are integrated in the transformation process as we go.
Right, that's right, a whole person. And and the truth is, if the energy doesn't shift, then whatever change there is not going to be sustainable.
Exactly.
And actually trying to force change is going to be harmful to a nervous system. So you'll love this, Carol. I came up with this metaphor for how conscious EFT is different from maybe some traditional therapy coaching kind of techniques. And it came because I had to change the toilet seat. Never changed toilet seat before, but I thought, well, this can't be all that difficult. I sort of, held up my hands to my ancestors who had some plumbing expertise and said, download some of this into me. So off I go. And it was a remarkably easy process. I go off to Canadian Tire, I get the seat, I change this thing. And here's the metaphor. My new toilet seat is one of the slow closing toilet seats. You just give it a little push and it very slowly and gently reaches its goal, as opposed to my original toilet seat.
Slam,
slam, slam, right? And so that's what we're talking about. That slam place, our natural nervous system response is to get activated and to go into defense. And this new process we have with Conscious EFT is this beautiful little slow, gentle, pleasurable kind of approach to transformation.
Yeah. Great metaphor. I didn't know such a toilet seat existed.
Oh my gosh. And you too can have this for 44 Canadian dollars. That's cool. Well, people can reach you just by Googling the sleepsuccessacademy.com, Carol Richard. And of course, it's been a joy to speak with you today, Carol, and you're just a prime example of the quality of mentorship that people receive when they take the Discover program. And so if you're listening and you would like to learn more about Discover, then you just go to nefti.com/DTP, Discover the Power. Nefti is NEFTTI.com/DTP, or the link will be below this video too. So thank you so much. And I look forward to your mentorship in Discover, and we will create another fun time together and enjoy ourselves.
I look forward to seeing all the new participants we'll have, because it's just an amazing training.
It is. Thank you so much, Carol.
You're welcome.